Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, lady and gentlemen. Oh man, what a fun-filled week one extravaganza. It was a lot of questions got answered, more questions got raised, and some questions not completely answered. Definitely a weird week, but man, football's back. So excited. So excited to have this guy on my team. I mean, if you go in, you can. There's this new thing. I don't know if it's new. I think find it's new to me, where you can see where a quarterback has thrown, and it'll show like where they threw on the field, like how far they threw it. Anthony Richardson has one where it's just completely off the screen because the guy flat-footed after he slipped, chucked it 70 yards on the dot. Beautiful. This guy, as long as he stays healthy, game changer right here. Game wrecker, game changer, whatever you want to call it. I'm just excited to have him on my team. I think he was maybe quarterback one out of the week. No, Baker Mayfield was. But I mean, who started Baker Mayfield? So, in this podcast, I'm going to go over biggest winners, biggest losers. I got to brag, I was right about a few things. New power rankings. And then just some shit talk. And I'm excited for week 2. Oh, man. Already, I'm just happy. Things have started off well. It's nice to get that first win out of the way. Last year, it took me a while to get my first win. I am miles ahead of where I was last year. So, very happy about that. But job ain't done. Job's not done. We've got a ways to go. I'm here to win the last game of the season. Job's not done. So, as excited as I am to be undefeated, 1-0, whatever you want to call it, job's not done. Let's dive right into it. And before I start, let's just everybody settle down. I want everybody to calm down. Whether you've won, whether you've lost, it's not over. There's still a lot of game left to play. You do not win your championship in week 1. So let's not read too much into what we saw after week 1, and let's also let's just soak it in. Let's not overreact. I mean, yes, I loved watching Anthony Richardson, but for example, he missed a few throws, so he was 9 for 21. I mean, yes, he still threw it for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns total, but the guy missed some. And that's just one example. So if let's say tight ends did. Kyle Pitts, I think, was top 3, and that's only because he caught a touchdown. The guy didn't really do much beyond that. So, but I'm not going to overthink that as well, because if you look across the board, no tight end did good. No tight end. So let's not overreact about that. I almost think that week 1 is really the veterans' preseason. No one's played in the preseason. No one wants to play in the preseason because they keep extending the games. So there's a trade-off. And I think week 1 was indicative of that, along with some tough matchups. But, I mean, you have the best in the game. Patrick Mahomes didn't even throw that many yards and touchdowns. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, I'm going to talk some shit about some teams, but let's also not overreact because there's a lot of game left to play. And we shouldn't read too much into week 1. But with that being said, let's dive right into it. I'm going to go over what I was right. And here, I'll pull up my banner from last week. This is my top 10. This is my power rankings from last week. And if you notice, 4 of the 5 won their matchups. So you've got Eddie, obviously Eddie lost, but you've got Mr. Organic, Dre, myself, and Austin. 4 of the top 5 all won. So I feel like I did pretty good there on my power rankings. And really in the matchups, I don't feel like there was any close matchups, which is, I mean, not exciting to watch from an outside point of view, but it's also, it just, you almost get those like people that should have won. So that's kind of nice, I guess, for week 1. But I feel like I was pretty spot on with my power rankings. I was definitely wrong on one person, but we'll dive into that. Another thing I talked about biggest steals. One I felt I was adamant about, Rashee Rice. So good job, Mr. Organic. Whew. You got the number 1 for Patrick Mahomes. Easily number 1. And I mean, like I said, things can change after week 1, but I'm going to go off of what I saw in week 1. And Rashee Rice had the target share. So Rashee Rice, big steal there. And another big steal, I mentioned to him, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it last week. We'll have to check the tape, but Jordan Mason. CMC has not practiced all off season. And I think this is kind of an advantage of being, everyone here is pretty much Seahawks fan. So it's hard to get an advantage on a Seahawks player because we know our team. And Paul knows the 49ers. The guy picked up Jordan Mason. And I should have known because I've been trying to I've got Jordan Mason in a majority of my leagues because CMC has not really practiced. And he's been dealing with a calf injury. Another word for calves, Achilles. Like, that's where your Achilles is. So you know that they are big. 49ers, they're a Super Bowl or bust. They want CMC at the end of the year. So they are not going to risk that guy. I doubt he plays this next week. I would put money on it. Not much, but I would put maybe $1. So Jordan Mason, huge steal there. Just makes Paul's team that much better having that running back. And the guy made the Jets defense look silly. And it's the Jets defense. I mean, last year they were carried. The only reason they won any games was because of the Jets. So good pickup there. And then another one I got right was James Conner. I told you he was the workhorse, and Whitney got the steal there. So good job, Whitney. And then another one that's underrated, and we'll see. I mean, and this is going back to I hate talking nice about the 49ers, but I'm going to call it how I see it. Deebo Samuel was all over. That guy was utilized so much in the running game and in the passing game, and Ayuk looked absolutely terrible. And I think this is probably because Ayuk didn't practice much in the offseason and in training camp, so there's not that rapport with Purdy. I mean, it takes time. Even if you play with a guy in the past, it just still takes time to get back to that rhythm. So Deebo looked really good. That looked like a huge weapon. So Paul, nice draft, which leads me into you're one of my biggest winners for the week. You've got Jordan Mason and you've got Xavier Worthy. The guy is going to be a weapon, but I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on Xavier Worthy. He didn't get very many targets. He got maybe 3 targets, but what he did with those was phenomenal. He looked way faster than anybody else, so I think it's going to be a very good weapon, but I think you're going to see weeks where he just disappears just based off of volume, especially when Hollywood Brown gets back. So, but for now, he looks like the real deal, and rookies always start off slow. This guy did not. You would like to believe that it's only uphill from here, but yeah, I've got a good team. And we'll dive more into it, but I just kind of want to quickly go over biggest winners, biggest losers. Another biggest winner, Dre. I sat there the 5th round, And I was like, Cooper Cup or Neighbors? And I think I would still go with Neighbors, just because I think rookies always start off slow, and the game gets a little bit slower as they go in the season. Second half, I think Neighbors is better than having Cup. But it's hard to argue when Cooper Cup gets over 20 targets in one game. Holy shit. You got a wide receiver, dominant one. If he plays anywhere close to that, especially with Puka Nacua out, the guy's going to be top 5 wide receiver with that kind of target volume in a half-point PPR league. So that was a great pickup there. And honestly, the upside strategy has worked so far. Like I said, it's only week 1, and I was saying before, and there's another thing I was right about, you only need half of your players that are high upside to hit, and you've got to win, almost guaranteed. Unless you're going up against Mr. Organic, who completely outscored everybody without CMC. Moving on to biggest losers. My biggest loser is who I have ranked 10th in my power rankings, and we'll find out here shortly. Diving into power rankings, I'm going to start with 1 because it's just obvious. And I'll start sharing my screen. Number 1 is just easy. There's no way we can argue with this. It's Mr. Organic. If you're sitting there at the draft and you have the first overall pick and you just say, skip me, I'm going to skip my first overall pick, whatever. No way am I thinking that you're going to be the highest scorer, but yet that's exactly what happened. And this team is scary if it stays healthy. And this is what I mentioned. There are some health concerns, clearly with CMC, with Devon Achane. Those are 2 already concerns. And you got Alvin Kamara. I mean, the guy has been pretty durable, but he's still old. It's just something you got to keep in mind. And Lamar Jackson was not at practice today. There's not a reason why he wasn't. So I don't know if it's like just a personal thing or if it's injury, but the guy did take a lot of unnecessary hits. But you look at this team, Mike Evans absolutely went off. That team looked good against a Dan Quinn defense. Dan Quinn has turned the Cowboys defense into something very scary. And he's the head coach for the Washington Commanders, and Tampa Bay made them look silly. So you've got a wide receiver 1 there. You've got the number 1 option for Patrick Mahomes with Rashee Rice. And then you throw, that's supposed to be CMC, he hasn't changed it. But you throw that in, that is a scary looking team. The only thing that you need is a tight end, which there's a few tight ends on that waiver wire that look pretty good. So that'll be interesting to see who picks up who there. And I like this pickup of Justin Fields. He's not the greatest real-life quarterback, but the guy has dangerous upside with his rushing. One thing that I would say was a little bit of a mistake, and just something to keep in mind, is when you have a Monday night player, you put them in the flex. Dre should have switched. Let's say Dre puts Devon Achane where CMC should have been. He could have easily picked up Lazard or some other option other than like the 4th string running back. I mean, yes, you put Isaac Guerendo there just to get possibility of points, but you have that flex spot. You have so many more options. So Monday night players, go in your flex spot. Just something to keep in mind. I actually did it myself, so I made that mistake. But just something to think about moving forward, is there's no guarantees. There's always something that can pop up. But I think it's just there's no. The only worry I have about this team is injuries. But I'm not going to beat the dead horse. Number 2, one of my winners for the week. That's going to be, and this guy needs to change his name. All I do is ugly win. You've graduated. Congratulations, Dre. You have graduated. That was not ugly win. That was, you destroyed. And This is a scary looking team. You got the number 2 running back here in Joe Mixon. Cooper Kupp, an absolute volume beast, which I talked about. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a very good floor play, although he didn't put up that many points. The guy's an absolute beast. You can't argue with that. Brian Thomas Jr. looked good. Brock Bowers looked like a veteran tight end. He had the most targets in that offense as the rookie tight end. That's just not heard of. The guy could be breaking records. He could be a Sam Laporta. We'll see how the next few weeks go. The only concern I have with this is you had Jameson Williams go off, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was nowhere to be found. I mean, yeah, he put up some points, but I think you're going to struggle with who's going to have the big game. And I'm not sure there's going to be too many games where both of them have the big game. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have the bigger game more consistently, in my opinion. But it's going to be annoying trying to guess who's going to go off and getting some weeks wrong. But you've got a rookie QB that I think was third maybe in points this week. That's only uphill from here. Only rookie QB I would have started. And it paid off. There is just so much upside with this team. And I don't see how this team fails, barring any major injuries. There's a little bit of concern with RB depth, but easy number 2 in my book. Number 3, I'm not going to go over very much just because it's my team. I think I've got depth. I've got Anthony Richardson, who looks like a boss. Sam Darnold looked really good with Justin Jefferson. Garrett Wilson looked really good in one quarter. Yes, he didn't get very much volume, but it was against a San Francisco defense that looked scary at San Francisco. James Cook looked like the workhorse, although I'm worried about his touchdown upside. Ken Walker looked absolutely amazing, although he's a little banged up. I'm not too worried about it. He said he was fine. Kyle Pitts looked like he was good. Malik Neighbors he's gonna be better as the year goes on. I'm a little nervous about that situation, but my bench, Brian Thomas looked good. Jerome Ford looked good. Kyler Murray looked good. T. Higgins, I'm excited to see how he does. I like my team. Not much to say about it. Sue me. Number 4, biggest winner, I think, Paul. And I actually had this, so I did my power ranking yesterday, but I flipped this. Since the Jordan Mason, you look at this team, the only concern I have is quarterback. Justin Herbert did not look like he was going to be, he's not going to win you any weeks. And I think he could lose you a week. I think they could just say, let's stick to the run. His receiving core is not that great. They're young, inexperienced, and I don't see them carrying him to high numbers. And I think he'll be fine, but he's not going to win you a week. But I could see him losing you a week. And another thing I was right on, Stephon Diggs. I heard those reports, and I almost wonder if that is the case. But I also wonder, Stephon Diggs didn't have very many yards. He was only good based off of his 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, we'll see. I could see him getting phased out. I don't know. He's a polarizing player for sure. I already touched on Xavier Worthy. He's a weapon, but I'm again concerned about that volume. Especially when Hollywood Brown gets back. I do not trust any Pittsburgh running back with Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator. I'm going to throw that out there. I said it at the draft. I'll say it again. But I think with his team, you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Mason. Those are 2 very good running backs if he stays in there. I'm concerned about Travis Kelce. I felt like that was a reach, and I'm going to stick with that. None of the tight ends really did good, so I can't say I was too right on that one, but we'll see. And then number 5, and you best be changing your name, especially after I whoop that ass this week. I got Austin at number 5. Saquon Barkley looks like he looks like the running back number 1. The guy is an absolute animal, and behind that, it's one of those just obvious things that, like, if you look at it now, it's like, damn, the guy was really good, and he now has a really good offensive line. How did we not see that? My only concern is Jalen Hurts he didn't look fast. Their tush push does not look like it used to be. Brandon Ayuk dropped a few passes. Jonathan Taylor only did really good, or he only did good because of a touchdown. And granted, it was Houston's defense, so I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on my take there. And I'm biased because I've got Anthony Richardson and J.K. Dobbins. Although he looked good, the guy lost steam real quick. So I've got some concerns about this team. I think it's good. If I had this team, I would not be too upset. I'm surprised. I don't know if this will change, but if it were me, I'd have Jalen Waddle instead of Brandon Ayuk. And I probably shouldn't say that since I'm going against you, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little nervous going against this team, but I'm okay. I think my team's pretty solid. We'll see. But I've got you at number 5. Number 6. I've got Whitney. I think Whitney killed it with her running backs. Bijan Robinson. I'm in love with this guy. I am in love with this guy's volume, his talents. They went against one of the best. Maybe not that much. Jesus. This dial-up internet. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna look. Okay, he put up 13. But that's still not bad with not scoring any touchdowns and going against the Steelers defense. That offense as a whole did not look good. The only good thing I saw was Bijan Robinson. And the guy was a volume beast. So they'll figure it out. I really like him. Isaiah Pacheco, absolute volume monster. So I think he didn't look as well. But again, he got the workload. He was the clear number 1. He got the passing. He got the rushing. I'm not worried about it. Chris Godwin looked good. That whole offense looked good. Zay Flowers, I think he's going to be consistent. 8 to 10 points. I mean, with the team how you have it, I wouldn't be mad about that. The only thing I don't understand is why the hell did you drop Matt Stafford? You drafted the guy in the 4th round. You just threw your 4th round. You didn't even get to look at how he did. Whitney, what are you doing? You didn't even get to see how the guy was doing before you got rid of him. And I would take him over Brock Purdy. I'm sorry, that was maybe too far. I'm keeping it. Moving on. Number 7, my biggest drop. Eddie, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? You're making me look bad. This was the biggest thing I was wrong about. This team's got the names. It's got the talent. But it doesn't have the production. And I think this is just a clear sign, or a clear, like, I don't know the word. This is indicative of someone bought the talent but did not get the production. And I'm almost throwing tight ends away this week. None of them look good. Although I'm worried that Dawson Knox got more involved than what people were expecting. I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't freak out. But that Las Vegas team looked bad. Kyron Williams looked decent, but I don't know. They've got him returning punts, and they threw in Ronnie Rivers a little bit more than I expected. I don't know. They've got him returning punts, and they threw in Ronnie Rivers a little bit more than I expected. And they threw in Ronnie Rivers a little bit more than I expected. And they threw in Ronnie Rivers a little bit more than I expected. The guy saved you with a touchdown. Breece Hall looked, I wouldn't worry about Breece Hall. But Marvin Harrison, the guy got one reception. This is where I don't. I think it's a decent pick, and he'll be fine in the second half of the year, but you've strapped yourself to a bull, and you can't let go. Enjoy the ride, Eddie, because I'm not going to overreact, but I'm a little nervous for you in having Marvin Harrison Jr. Guy only got one reception. This guy's supposed to be like the next up and coming, and he's got a good quarterback. Neighbors, who has Daniel Jones, outproduced Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think this is just maybe the problem at buying this guy in the second round is you bought him at his absolute ceiling. He's still a rookie. We'll get into rookies a little bit more later. Patrick Mahomes I wouldn't worry about, but I just see this team as names and not quite the production. I'm a little nervous about Tank Dell as well. There's a lot of weapons in that system, and for him to get a big share, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch the matchup between him and Dre this next week. That'll be interesting. If this team starts 0-2, not only me, but through Yahoo got the best draft grade, you could be the Colby team of last year, where I felt like I had all the names, but no one produced on talent. So we'll see. Number 8. I think I had you 8 last week, and I'm going to keep you at 8. 8 for Nate. I don't know if it just keeps working out that way or if it's just like subconsciously in my head. You, sir, your kryptonite, Raiders running backs. My guy, Zamir White, only got like 40% of volume. Alexander Madison, who got cut, outproduced him. And they're going to go with a hot hand, and I'm nervous for that guy. And that guy, I think he was your 4th or 5th pick. You might as well have done the Whitney and just throw him out the door. I didn't agree with that then. I don't agree with it now. I mentioned this last week. You are thin at running back, my guy. Thin at running back. You got this 80-year-old Ezekiel Elliott. That is going to be a throwing. They just paid Dak Prescott, and they're going to rely on that guy. He is the guy. So I don't see Zeke getting the volume. Yeah, he'll get some red zone touches and some touchdowns here and there, but the guy is just old. And then you got Travis Etienne. I was actually looking at him in a few different leagues, and if I was up there, I probably would have picked him as well. Dodged a bullet. Fortunately, that bullet hit right between your fantasy team. Tank Bigsby looked better than him. The guy fumbled. The guy just did not look good. That's going to become a committee, in my opinion. And beyond that, you've got no running backs. And that's going to be a big problem, I think. Seattle's defense did not look good. And New England's defense looked good. So DK, another guy I thought was a good volume or good value. I don't know. I'm trying not to overreact, but Seahawks offense, besides Ken Walker, did not look very good. And I feel like that team, they went into the half, and Mike McDonald was like, we're going to run it. Like, we are not looking good. And he's like, we're going to run it. And they did exactly that. So, I don't know. I don't have the biggest confidence in those wide receivers. Tyreek Hill's an absolute boss. I was worried. I was like, all right, I'm in a good position. Then the guy, boom, 80-yard touchdown. And I was like, shit. And that's how fast your take can turn in terms of fantasy football. Like, it just takes one play and then boom. So, that's your only really good piece. Dak Prescott is going to be fine, but that defense they're really good in the regular season. The defense is going to keep the other team scoring low. You'll get maybe a couple touchdowns out of Dak Prescott. There's just limited upside there. And then a big hit with Jordan Love getting hurt. And you got Jaden Reed, who went off. And they're going to use that guy as weapons. but he's paired with a guy that just got injured. And so for now, I'm going to keep you at 8. I probably would have had you higher if that injury didn't happen, but unfortunately, that's reality. And Michael Pittman did not look good. He looked fine, but he's just not going to get the targets. Anthony Richardson is not going to support. He's going to be like a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to support a wide receiver 1. And then number 9, who will reveal my number 10. Number 9 is Brian. Brian, the RB whisperer. This guy picked up Charbonnet, outproduced Etienne in terms of points. And then, everyone like, no, timeout. Told him no to Justice Hill. Justice Hill looked pretty good. Outscored Najee Harris and Swift. The guy looked like the main back, and Henry was just kind of in there whenever. I'm convinced BJ's an RB genius. And then you look at Josh Jacobs, who I said was going to look good, was going to get the volume, and that's exactly what he did. Tony Pollard is the guy. He looked way better than Spears. I'm convinced BJ is an RB genius. Now, wide receivers are just a little bit of a different story. Chris Olave, I've got him in another league. I'm not trying to overreact, but I'm worried. They absolutely destroyed, and Chris Olave got like 2. I don't even want to look how many points. It was just embarrassing. Keenan Allen, that offense does not look good, but Keenan Allen got so much volume. So I'm a little worried, but not going to panic on that one. And he should have caught a touchdown. They would have been a lot better. And then I don't understand, why the hell are you? This is BJ. I'm going to fill you in on a little cheat code. His name is Josh Allen. Why the hell did you not start Josh Allen? Rushing quarterbacks are going to win you your weeks. Rushing quarterbacks are an advantage. So start Josh Allen. Unless the guy is dead, start Josh Allen. I don't mind having CJ Stroud on the bench because, Josh Allen takes big hits. The guy's already kind of injured, banged up with his non-throwing hand. But unless the guy is dead, he's going to play. He is one tough son of a gun. I'll give him that. And then I would think about starting Zach Charbonnet, especially if Ken Walker is going to be hurt and limited or out. I'd start him over Keenan Allen. And you look at this team, and boom, that's a solid team. Yeah, Chris Olave did not have a good week, but he's still the number 1. CeeDee Lamb looked like an absolute stud before they got up too much, and they were like, we don't need to risk you getting injured. I wouldn't. Baltimore, I'm 50-50 on that tight end. Mark Andrews was like triple covered, so I think that's why Likely had such a good game. I wouldn't sound the alarms. I would not sound the alarms, but I wouldn't disagree if you picked up Likely. And then Tyler Lockett looked everyone wrote him off, thought he was dead. Guy actually did pretty good for his for being limited most of the offseason. But I think there's potential here, so I wouldn't freak out. There's still a lot of game left to play. Speaking of freaking out, our number 10, Mr. Stargazer himself, going to the Moose Saloon. Jesus, what do you do? And this is another thing that I was right on. Why are you going for why did you start Caleb Williams? You're screwed either way. But why do you... You're still, I don't know if you just haven't looked at him today, but why is he still in your starting lineup? The guy looked terrible. And the Houston's defense is good. So I don't know. I just don't know what to say about this team. You got a double whammy. You kind of screwed yourself twice. You didn't shoot yourself in the foot once. You shot yourself with like a double barrel shotgun with the Caleb Williams and DJ Moore. It's a rookie. No, rookies are like 0-14-1 on opening day. You got the best quarterback rookie quarterback in franchise history in CJ Stroud. And last year, the guy in the first game didn't do anything. It's just too fast of a game. Yes, Caleb Williams has a talent, but he's still a rookie quarterback. What are you doing starting him? I don't understand. And then with that, you pair him with DJ Moore and shoot yourself in the foot twice. The only saving grace on this team is A.J. Brown right now. You've got Rachaad White, who Bucky Irving looked better than him. I'd be worried there. Ramondre Stevenson, he did look good, but still the New England offense. And yeah, the guy's going to be good. I had him last year. Guy's a dog, but he's still in a bad offense where, yes, they beat the Bengals, but they're going to be in a negative game script against Stevenson almost every single week. So yes, he did good, but I wouldn't count on him being an RB1 every single week. Again, tight ends didn't do very good, but with the emergence of Jameson Williams, I'm now a little bit more worried about Sam Laporta. And then Jamar Chase played the whole game, but still, he got you 6 points. I mean, they always start slow. And if you really think about it, Cincinnati has not been good at all when having Joe Burrow, other than the 1 year they went to the Super Bowl. And even then, they started off slow. They were 1-5 in their last 6 home openers. They always start slow. They started slow last year. I think this is another one where, I mean, I wouldn't panic, but I'd be a little worried. Take it from someone that experienced it last year. It is not easy if you start off 0-3, 0-4. It's going to be a bumpy ride. So enjoy it, Eric. There's potential. I mean, you got Keon Coleman, who looked like the one. Joe Burrow will turn around after a couple weeks. But let's remember, last year, the guy, and this is something I was wrong on. I thought Joe Burrow was going to come out and be better, but they also lost T. Higgins last minute. So I think there was a couple things working against them. I'm really curious to see if they start 0-2, and that might be with this team. Caleb Williams, okay, I'm going to go back to this because I don't understand the logic here. Caleb Williams is not going to win you a week. He's like, you'll be lucky. Like projected points, I don't try not to look too much into it. It's 15. If he scores you 15, that's still not good. Like what he's projected, you're hoping for way over. And there's a reason he's only 23% started. This is a 10-man league. This is not a 24-man league. Like, get your head out of your ass. Start Joe Burrow. Smarten up. And let's have a better season. I don't get it. But that's my rant. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Biggest loser by far, Eric. I was going to wait. There it is. QB concerned. Little bit of a tight end concerned. Chase concerned. DJ Moore concerned. There's just too many concerns. I don't know. Well, that's it for me this week. Appreciate you guys watching, listening. Maybe I should do bold prediction. Bold prediction. Eric wins only 5 games this year. I don't even think that's that bold. Who is Eric going against this next week? All right, this is the last thing I'm going to look at. Then I'm going to peace out. Let's see, week 2. Week 2, we've got a few good matchups. Either Austin or I are going to exit out of this week 2-0. You got to change that name, Spotted D. Change your name. Eric going against Mr. Organic. Oof. I mean, you got a chance, maybe, if there's no CMC. There's always a chance. It's just hard to go against the number one. And then another good matchup, I think, is going to be Eddie and Dre. That'll be interesting. If Eddie starts 0-2, that is the most talented looking 0-2. And same thing with next week. Let's not overthink. You can start. We got Mr. Every Other Year. Guy started off 0-5, I believe, in this league one year, and still came back and won. So there's always a chance. Always a chance. Don't give up. Unless you got Eric's team. All right. Good luck to everybody except for Austin this week. Peace out.